What to learn at every single rank in Mortal Kombat 1. These tips and tricks are going to be as comprehensive as possible, so prepare for a long one here. Now, to give myself some credibility to give you guys this advice, I am currently in the top 100 on the ranked leaderboards in Mortal Kombat 1. I also want to state, I think it's more important for you to care about your rank right here on your profile. This ranked leaderboard spot is based on your ELO rating, which is different from the Kombat League leaderboards, where playtime is a crucial factor. A great example of what I mean is this account right here, which could be Ninja Killa's alt account. In terms of ELO rating / MMR, the account is on rank number 3 because it's based on who you've beaten and who you've lost to, but hasn't played any ranked at all since season 5. Goes to show, you could be at the very bottom of Kombat League, but if you've been beating or losing against the best players in the world with nearly a 99% win rate, your MMR ELO ranking will be one of the highest in the game. Alright, but let's kick this off with Apprentice players, your first time ever playing ranked in MK1. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm making a video going over all the changes I would make to every single character on MK1's roster. Alright, the first one is why I never made a beginner's guide to Mortal Kombat 1. Go here to tutorial, and I promise you this tutorial is one of the best in all of gaming. I'm serious, I can't think of a training program that onboards you on how to learn a game properly better than this one. Next, I want you to go to the settings tab and scroll down to controls. For players on all platforms, I want you to go to release check right here and turn this off. It's on by default. And I'm not actually sure why it's on by default, because what it means to be on is that your special moves come out when you actually release the buttons. So if you turn it off, the special moves will come out right as you hit the final button. Second, for Xbox players, remap your controls. Go down to block and cameo buttons. You want to make sure block is actually your right bumper and cameo is now your right trigger. That's because by default it has the trigger as the block button, but look how much travel time is in that press. It'll make you late on your blocks. The right bumper, on the other hand, barely looks like it's moving at all because it's almost instantaneous. Next, I would say in terms of character selection, just pick a character that you think has cool animations or cool lore. Even characters like Kenshi that can be pretty difficult for beginners to master has tools that are simplistic for a new player to understand, and then later on you can learn the complicated parts. The one character I don't want you to pick is Serena, and in fact I kind of have some beef with Serena. Serena is one of the most popular beginner cameos because new players want to extend combos just like this, but you're actively holding yourself back because in reality you don't need that. You should only be picking Serena if you want to master the other moves in her kits. This meter drain ability right here is one of the strongest cameo moves in the game. A large part of the reason I have beef with Serena is new players have to deal with stuff like this against other new players. Plus, new players are going to throw it out at you like this in neutral, come in, do it again, and it does just take forever and it gets annoying. And that's why I'm saying I have beef with her, because new players don't know how to punish that and how to deal with it, so they're forced into just eating all of that. But I promise you, at a high level, Serena's not that great for you anymore. Look at that. Doing that on block for my opponents is me getting free combos. If you must learn Serena because you think she's just really cool, make sure to use her other abilities. Flip kick right there is a great meterless combo extender for good damage, and stuff like the quick projectile that has super fast recharge. This can be used for even better combos. Say I do a jump kick that lands in the corner right here, which is really common at the lower ranks. You should be learning the actual cool stuff with the character, just like this. I recharged in time to start using these, so I actually got a ton more damage, and look at this, almost 50%, and it was 0 bars a meter, 50% damage. But by picking Serena and only using the extenders, why not switch to Chameleon? Chameleon gets the exact same type of extender just like Serena, while also, and just Jade specifically, having something that just has all projectiles phase through you, and an invincible wake up overhead that starts combos. It's one of the most annoying / best wake ups in the game because again, it's invincible, but Chameleon, along with everything else, else also gives you throw combos, which Serena can't. That's not even to talk about how Katana Lift will start combos, Ball Roll will start combos, and Jade Glaive, so you don't even have to think about what phase you're in. And then the last tip for Apprentice players, I turned my controller off so it doesn't do a bunch of things on my screen, but think about how it sounds when you are playing the game. If you've ever played on the couch with friends, you'll know the room just sounds like buttons being mashed. You can't even hear each other because it's so loud, everybody hitting every button on the controller. Focus on that. I would rather you lose than win because that's not how any good player sounds. It is precise, calculated button presses. Okay, but now we move on to combatant players, and my main tip for this one is mash. You're probably like, what? You just told me not to mash, but I mean mash in a completely different way, and even that, if you know what I'm saying, probably scares you as well. The reason I say it probably scares you is many creators, streamers, pro players alike make fun of people for mashing, and there's a reason for that because it works, but it's incredibly risky. Let's do this example where you are the Melina player and your opponent is Scorpion. Melina's 1-2 string is -5 on a normal block, meaning it is the Scorpion player's turn. Lower ranked Scorpions though might use a high attack. Look, that down 1 beats my high attack. That is Melina mashing on me. I might try and reversal throw. It's going to beat that throw. I am mashing throw. That down 1 still beats me. Even if I go for my forward 3 mid, it trades just like that, so I don't actually get to take my turn back. Which shows mashing will work really well for you at the beginning, and the reason I tell you to do it is not to take easy wins, but instead it'll also teach you exactly why you shouldn't be doing it. You will get punished hard. As you go against better and better opponents, an opponent is going to backdash on you right there. Full combo punish. You just lost a ton of health because you decided to mash. So yeah, I recommend you mash early on because it'll teach you not to do it, and you'll know when you should do it when you really need to spice it up and throw in something weird. The second thing you should be focusing on is not doing your unsafe full combo punishable moves unless you've landed the hit. Focus on that as much as possible. This spin from Scorpion, full combo punishable. Spear, full combo punishable. Teleport, full combo punishable. This right here, full combo punishable. You really want to focus on only doing those if you've landed the hit or you currently have cameo resource to keep stuff like this safe. If you can learn not to throw out your unsafe special moves, it opens up the cameo roster a ton because a character like Pharah doesn't have a way for me to keep special moves safe. So hit confirms in general, just really important for you. Look at your move list and see what is -7 or more on block. I guess this is where I should say, if you're trying to find out what moves of yours are punishable, go to the frame data in the move list, and in the block advantage area, notice Spear is -28. A move is punishable on block if it is -7 or more. -7 isn't punishable by most characters, but there are characters that can reversal with really fast special moves for combos, so -7 is really that golden rule spot where anything more negative than that, you are eating full combos. Okay, but now we move to Warrior, and this one is about stopping people spamming repetitive strings / moves on you, as well as just general knowledge of the game. My tip that's a little more broad is at this point you should really be taking note of other characters' punishable moves. You don't want to miss all your opportunities for full combos just because you're unaware of what's punishable. But the actual specific advice is if somebody's doing a string or something repetitively and you can't find an answer to it, go into training mode, and here's why. Armorable gaps and flawless block gaps are crucial in MK1. You'll have some characters like Scorpion's 214 that's very well known that has an armor gap. So just like this, before the final hit, I can come through and armor that right there. And while Reptile can't actually combo from his armor, if I was going in a Scorpion mirror match and a Scorpion used that 214 against me, I could armor through it and get a full combo every single time that happens. But there are a lot of gaps in this game that people just don't do the research on and don't go find. So say Reptile is spamming this specific string. It's this low kick into a mid right here. That 2-hit string is only -7 on block, so me as Scorpion, I have no way to punish that. Reptile can use those 2 hits freely against me all the time. But this move actually has an armor gap in between the first and second hit, so I can actually get full combos. Reptile can't actually just spam that against me, even though it seemed like it for a good bit. He can't. And you'll find armor gaps like that everywhere in the game. I promise you, a lot of moves in this game have way more options to beat it and punish the opponent than you think. But say you don't have resource for armor, there's also a lot of flawless block gaps that turn moves that can be easily spammed into full combos for you. We talked about Melina's 1-2 string right here. It's really annoying. Second hit is an overhead. Well, did you know the final hit can be flawless blocked for a full combo punish? It turns the move into -15 on block. But then Liu Kang has this move right here with that final ending kick, and it gets annoying. It's not plus, but the pushback makes it feel plus on block. This move? Just like Melina's. Full combo with this much damage, because I knew about the flawless block gap. And so my point really is, I get a lot of people that are like, this move is super cheap, super annoying, and I can instantly tell it's like, oh, those players don't actually know there's a really clear option to beat it, and plenty of characters have things like that. So if something's really annoying you, go into the training mode and take a peek. Okay, but now we've reached Champion, and this is what I like to call the most boring and the hardest one to fully master, but after this, it becomes really fun. You just need to do this stuff. Champion is really where you need to take a deep dive into your frame data and all your character's actual abilities and utility. I'm using Baraka with Scorpion Cameo, and did you know that simple things are missed all the time? If you come down here to Scorpion Cameo, this get over here move has armor. You wouldn't know that unless you read the notes at the very bottom of the frame data. This helps because you have escapes just like this with that move, and you'll see people just not using it when it is so important to the character. But also, Baraka has plus on block frames everywhere, and I see too many people with a lot of characters not taking advantage of their plus frames. Stand 2 +1 on block, so if I do stand 2 and then down 1, my down 1, it is my turn. That will hit the opponent's attempt at a down 1. This kick, stand 3 on block +4. So I can get away with a lot more because it's my turn. It's not getting away with it. I see too many Barakas do this and then block. Like I do the kick. Look at that backdash. Because it was still my turn, my backdash came out way before Scorpion's down 1, so it was an easy punish. Baraka's back 4 sweep, also +1 on block. There's just so many things like this. You need to truly understand your character's frame data. But the back 4 sweep goes into my next point, which is at this rank, you should really start knowing how to tempo your game plan. Most low rank players go all out offense at all times, going for an overhead at all times, the mid at all times, just rushing it down, trying to land a mix up, or if in neutral here, just spamming projectiles as much as possible because the opportunity is there, but that's not always correct. You need to learn how to play balanced and neutral right here. Not everything has to be about the big damage combos. It actually gets people stuck in the slower moves because people want to hit the highest damage combos, when in reality, you win games off the little things in neutral. This back 4 sweep does 7% damage, and it's +1 on block. So why are you so focused on landing the overhead mix-up, which loses you your turn, when you could just be here, throw out the back 4, if it's blocked, it's still your turn, and if it lands, that's 7% damage. That adds up a ton over time throughout a match. So yeah, just start balancing your game plan. The big combos will help you win, but it's the little things and the little ticks of damage that you are playing very balanced for that win you games as you go against better and better opponents. The final thing I have for Champion, and it goes back to move list properties, is a lot of moves have interactions that aren't listed to you anywhere. Let's take Baraka's stand 4. When you have the opponent cornered and you knock the opponent down, why aren't you using stand 4 more often? It's because you don't know about this property. Scorpion has meter, I knock Scorpion down. This stand 4 will break the armor. If you don't know that, you are missing out on a huge part of your corner pressure as Baraka. Because if Scorpion does that, I break the armor and it's a full combo for me. I just made Scorpion waste a bar of meter and got 32% damage off of that. And while there will be ways to beat this, Scorpion can wake up ducking. That is very risky for him. This covers 2 options just using this stand 4. Say you use the mid instead, which will cover Scorpion ducking, but can be punished if he blocks. I knock Scorpion down, I go for that mid-low launcher right there. Again, Scorpion woke up armor, I get a full combo for it. And it's just those little things, knowing those 2 options you have when you have your opponent cornered as Baraka. So now that you're comfortable with all the frame data for your character and know about all the properties you need to look for, as well as hidden properties, Master is where things start to get a little more fun. In this one, we're going to be covering meaties, shimmies, strike throwing, and Kara throws. Meaties are pretty simple, but you need to work on it. When you knock the opponent down, notice how I have some time where I'm at advantage and the opponent is standing up. Practicing your meaties is what buttons you do to meet the opponent on frame 1 of the opponent standing up. So when I knock Reptile down, I want this forward 3 to come out on basically frame 1 of his wake up. That way I cover any ducks, as well as just give myself more offensive pressure. It doesn't allow for Reptile to throw out any down 1s in time, anything like that. Now, a meaty can be a shimmy, but not all shimmies are meaties. A shimmy is what you do to get the opponent to let go of block, or to hit block. So a meaty being a shimmy, if I have something with a long knockdown right here, notice how long I'm just walking forward at Reptile because of the long knockdown. I have so much time. This can be a shimmy because a lot of people see an opponent just walking forward like this and think, oh, it's definitely going to be a forward throw as soon as I stand up. This also happens a lot after restands. If I restand Reptile like this, I walk up and throw because I am at an advantage. And it's a shimmy because Reptile could let go of block and duck to make the throw whiff for a full punish, but then I've walked forward for a bit and I use a mid instead, which will punish Reptile for it. But there are also things called auto shimmies in MK1, which is interesting because this term has changed a lot in Mortal Kombat over the years. In MK11, you had characters like Johnny Cage and Shang Tsung that had mid hitting attacks that looked the exact same as the throw animation. I think that definition of auto shimmy is only really valuable for the highest level players, you know, people playing in very high level sets, because most average players aren't going to be changing their defensive option based on a very fast animation. Auto shimmies in this game are moves like Reptile's back 3-1, which we talked about earlier, and it used to be Tanya's forward 2, which sadly got nerfed. Reptile has this 1-1 string right here, which is 0 on block. Both opponents are the exact same advantage. And on top of that, it leaves you incredibly close to the opponent, just like this. So the reason it's an auto shimmy is Reptile players have options after this. You're so close, you might be worried Reptile might use that 0 on block advantage to throw right afterwards, making it a strike throw tactic. But the auto shimmy comes in with the back 3 from Reptile right here. I'm going to make 2 different recordings of Reptile and show you why this is so hard to beat. To stop the throw from happening, I might just down 1 just like this to guarantee it and make sure it's my turn. Or go for my own counter hit right here. I can get a full combo if Reptile tries that by interrupting the throw. Well, if I choose either of those options and Reptile backdashes just like that into the move, I get full combo punished. Same with a down 1 just like that. Look how he punishes me. So I'm actually put into a guessing game of what I want to do, and my best option to stop either of those outcomes from happening is just to hold block. But that means Reptile is taking his turn back for free. I'm not even contesting 0 anymore. Alright, this is actually editing Diff because I want to talk about both definitions of auto shimmy people use for MK1 because I know I'll see people arguing about it in the comments, so I'll just explain both. Some people only consider an auto shimmy to be something like Reptile's forward 2-1. His forward 2-1 hits mid-mid, and the auto shimmy is the fact that he can just do the forward 2 by itself and it leaves him right in front of the opponent, and the auto shimmy shimmy there is that Reptile can just go for the forward 2 by itself and then throw while the opponent is still blocking, waiting for that second mid, which takes a bit longer to start up, to have to be blocked. So you'll see some people say those are the only auto shimmies in the game. I just wanted to make that clear because I believe both could be considered auto shimmies, but I know this argument goes on forever. So in this version, it is just that this mid string, the second hit, you don't actually know if you should continue holding block or not. But you should be learning if your character has any good auto shimmy spots, because it really will just let you take your turn back more often or open the opponent up for full combos or throws just like you saw. Now we go to Kara throws and plinking. Now, a plink is when you actually hit 2 inputs back to back, frame after frame, and it changes the hitbox on them. I have this as a save position, me versus Reptile, and if I go for a throw, it's actually not going to land against Reptile. I will spawn in the exact same spot as soon as I reset, but yeah, these throws will not hit Reptile. Well, with plinking, if I input a stand 3 right before that throw, it actually gives my throw the hitbox of the stand 3, or it extends my throw hitbox. These are called Kara throws. So Kara throws is doing the strategy to get the throw. Plinking is doing the frame by frame button inputs because it originated in Street Fighter 4, I think, to make 1 frame optimal combos easier. But yeah, I can go throw, nothing. Throw, nothing. Plink it, look at that. I get the extended range on the throw. So learning this will just help your throw and strike game in general. And so that just rounds us off that is essentially all the things you use in your strike throw game, and each character uses different things from one another. In Grandmaster, we learn about jailing and safe jumps. You need to be implementing both of these for specific scenarios. All right, you'll run into these scenarios a lot where you go into these down 1 trades with the opponent. Down 1s are actually punishable by other down 1s. Notice you saw the punish go up on the left side of my screen. Jailing is when you understand your hit advantage on every single move, and so if that down 1 lands, there are certain moves in the game that are guaranteed to have to be blocked. The opponent is jailed into blocking. The opponent can't armor, can't duck, anything like that. The opponent will get hit if he or she decides to duck or try and armor. So when I land this down 1 punish, you want to be using stuff like I just did right there as Scorpion. I threw out a back 2 into Farah. That's because after a landed down 1 punish by me, this back 2 jails on Reptile. I'll prove it. Look at my inputs on the right. There's me trying to spam down 1 afterwards. Now the armored attack, that isn't going to come out either. You just saw, I tried to do it in that gap. It didn't happen. If I just try and hold down and duck, I am still getting launched here. So now you know what jailing looks like, but jailing is important because it sets up a lot of characters' best game plans. And let's show what Scorpion's best game plan looks like. That's when we take the jailing strategy and apply it to we want 50-50 mix-ups as Scorpion Farah. So I do this, jail into the back 2, but then back 2 is nice because unlike 2-1 Farah or say stand 4 Farah, back 2 into Farah can only be armored through for the mix-up. Reptile cannot jab string out of that mix-up like he can versus Scorpion's 2-1 and other buttons. So by taking proper advantage of my jailing right here, this mix-up, if Reptile has no resource or doesn't want to spend any resource, he is going to have to guess for that one. Because I properly jailed my down 1 into a move like this that doesn't have a jab string gap in between. Just to prove that, look at this. I got counter hit because I tried to mash after the back 2 into Farah. Again, it's going to hit me. But if Scorpion were to have done that 2-1, look at that. I can jab right in between. So knowing what to properly jail is important. Okay, but now let's talk about safe jumps. Safe jumps happen whenever you knock the opponent down and have a good amount of time before the opponent can stand up. A safe jump will look like this if the opponent were to have done nothing, just like that, but block. And the golden thing about that is Reptile can't actually up block in time. The up block won't start up soon enough, making it safe from up blocks, which is nice on its own, but safe jumps also cover for armor, and this is what I mean. It basically is an option select where I just broke Reptile's armor just like that because I landed the jump attack into the forward 3 mid so quickly because I was hitting so fast. it is a safe jump. Now, not all armor attacks start up in the same amount of time. So if I'm nervous about that, say it's Johnny Cage armor, which is a bit faster, I go for that jump 2 and see if the opponent wanted to land armor. You heard me get that hit on the armor, but I still have time to block the armored attack, which is so nice because that would mean I'd get my full combo punish after blocking the armored wake up. But also, if the opponent doesn't spend armor, I'm here to continue my pressure because I went for the safe jump. The opponent just tries to sit there and block. Perfect. I safe jumped and it's still my turn after the jump 2. But the armor, I could potentially break the armor and get a full combo. Or I'm still seeing that that armor landed as an option select and then blocking it immediately afterwards. It gives me one thing to do that covers everything. All right, we've reached Demi God, and in Demi God rank, I really want you to focus on micro ducking / just ducking in general, as well as option selects. Let's go to training mode. So what are micro ducks? Let's take Scorpion's 2-1 string. It is -6 on block, meaning it will be Omni-Man's turn after he blocks this. A micro duck takes advantage of opponents using high attacks like throws as a reversal to my negative strings. So I use the 2-1, I micro duck that reversal throw, and that's a full combo punish because I just tap duck very quickly, even though that is me stealing my turn back 100%. So like this, full combo punish from a micro duck. And yes, you can get hit by mids and stuff like that, which is what leads me into duck option selects. Duck option selecting is something you can get better at over time, and why we have the block button as right bumper, because it's stuff like this. If I'm just spamming like this, you'll get better as you know more characters' moves, but just as a base starting level, by spamming my block button really fast, it'll block a mid or make a throw whiff. So you're kind of covering both options. It's not perfect and you want to get better and better about doing this manually, but just as a start, duck OS like this every time you're negative frames and you'll slowly start to see yourself covering both options more and more. Like right here, he's going to use a mid. I was just spamming block. You can't tell because it just auto-corrected to the right option because I was hitting block so fast. You get to do this yourself in training mode. Just practice. Like, look how he's just... I'm guessing right. And I really shouldn't be. See? I finally got hit there because I literally just stopped. You'll see how many things by just spamming as a duck OS will get you to do the right thing every time. Now I'm taking control of Omni-Man to talk about option selects. And there's tons of option selects in the game, but at the end of the day, an option select is when you do one input, like me spamming duck, and the correct option comes out regardless. I'm using Omni-Man Kung Lao because back when Kung Lao hat was really good, this is a popular one that is very easy to understand. There are lots of option selects in the game, so I recommend you find your characters. That way, again, it just simplifies the game for you and makes it easier to win. I have Scorpion blocking, and in the past, this Lao hat was really good on block. It might have been plus when the game first released and when Omni-Man was out, and it's slowly gotten worse and worse on block. But after this string right here, you should always throw the Lao hat. Look how quick the recovery is on Lao hat. You always throw it. But the reason it's an option select is, yeah, say the mid string right here lands. Throwing the Lao hat to keep me safe on block doesn't change anything for me. It gives me the best possible outcome every time. If my mid lands, I'm getting my full combo off of the Lao hat. If it's blocked, I was keeping myself safe. So just find those things in your gameplay and really focus on it, because some aren't near as obvious as that one, and some are just tricky to learn. Kodokan and MK11 had something where you only got the mid command grab whenever it was guaranteed to hit, and you just got a normal down one when it wasn't. That's game breaking for a throw character. It's why you saw Rewind using Kodokan at one of those Evos versus the twins, because again, at that point you had an option select for it. And we'll just wrap up Demi God that you should be blocking and ducking with intention. I like to use Scorpion as an example because back 3 used to not be a mid that could be comboed off of, and he was the best example of why are you blocking currently. You should just be ducking. In the past, this was Scorpion's only mid, and it doesn't go very far. Like, you need to be fairly close. But you would see people low blocking right here, just like this, and I never got why. You should just be ducking. Say he's ducking right there, Ground Flame starts up really slow. If this was a real player at this high of a level, easily you can hit block in time when you see my hands start to do that. And then spear, it will be ducked normally, which is great, but also it's a slow enough startup that again, you can see if I'm about to amplify it or see the amplify happen and get this block off in time to block the amplified spear, which turns it into a mid. The only move that could have reached you from here is the stand 2, and if you're blocking, I'm forced to eat that. But if I'm not blocking like this, that first hit is a high and a whiff, and it completely changes things because I just ducked it and then used down 3 to interrupt the string entirely. It's now my turn. Beforehand, I was sitting through all of this for no reason. All right, Forgotten Elder God, we hit this tricky part where you are probably very good at most things, but the issue is I can't make your reaction time just a little bit faster to block overhead and lows, things like that. So we have to talk more conceptual. In God, I would say it's all about exploiting things from your opponent and setting up things so that you have the opportunity to exploit that. One you see me do that I've been calling the MK11 strat for the longest time is Scorpion, and this is kind of what I mean for every character. You'll find things like this is I do a bait, stand 2 whiffed out here full screen, and then I immediately throw spear afterwards. I have the right side Scorpion set to do the MK11 strat so I can demonstrate. But the first reason this strat works is you'll catch people dashing forward. People see a move whiff and then immediately want to dash in, you know, close the distance. It's like, oh, the opponent's going to be negative some frames. But no, that spear is coming almost immediately afterwards. It catches sloppy dashes. But also, I'll see that whiff, try and throw my own spear, and his will still land first. And this will happen to a bunch of different projectiles in the game. I need to be almost perfect with my spear timing to beat him out, just like that. But a lot of people online aren't perfect. And so that's like a smallish exploit I do, but also it's about sacrificing one of your moves to be the ace up your sleeve later on. When I'm using Scorpion Pharah, you want to use both the overhead version right here and the low version right here after back 3. Make that a true mix-up from the very start of the set. But at the highest level, a lot of winning is about recognizing your opponent's patterns and habits. So what I can do is have a sacrificial move that I wait to change up until like the 3rd round if it's a Combat League set. For the first 2 games of the set, I could sacrifice something like forward 3 into Pharah. Obviously, you could jab out of that, but sometimes people aren't ready for it. And every time the opponent wasn't ready for it, I always go ahead and throw the overhead for almost the entire set. And the reason that works is, again, a good player sees, oh, okay, I don't interrupt the 4-3. If I get to the Pharah mix-up part, it's always the overhead, so I'll just block the overhead. Well, you wait till the very last game to finally switch up this one thing you've been baiting the opponent to do, and instead you go for the low option. You save it. You make yourself look very predictable on purpose. So find one of your moves that you could sacrifice and play a repetitive mind game around it so you have an ace up your sleeve for late. Another good one I recommend is, say you take Scorpion's 2-1-4 string right here, and the opponent is armoring out of it every time, but the opponent doesn't have a cameo like Jaina Cage to combo off of it. You can just let him get comfortable with doing that to you over and over again because it's a free escape and free damage for him, that in game 3, at the very end, all of a sudden you do 2-1 and then block. It's the only time you don't follow through for the final hit. That's just another idea. And there are plenty of things like that for your character. So just coming up with some good bait things to use at the latter portions of sets will really help you win more often. This is also where you loop around all the way back to mashing, because that's when you can throw in some really random mashes that a player won't expect you to do because the player knows you're good. But you can throw them out there if you've done some conditioning and get away with stealing your turn back. And we finish off with Elder God. And for Elder God players, the obvious thing I recommend is to, 1, compete in tournaments yourself. It'll let you know from the best players where your game plan is lacking. 2nd would be to watch pro players. You'll learn a lot watching from Ninja Killa, Sonic Fox, etc. But in terms of not watching and participating in things, what you need to do is try and start to understand every single rock, paper, scissors scenario that exists in Mortal Kombat 1. Let's go into training mode and I'll talk about the very obvious one that you see and just show that, yeah, a good player needs to master a whole bunch of options and outcomes that essentially work just like rock, paper, scissors. Alright, so the main situation you'll see is what happens on people's negative frames on block that aren't punishable, or down ones on block, because we talked about jailing earlier, where the opposite Scorpion could just use a down one himself and, you know, set up a jailing situation, because a down one will punish a down one, but that's not the optimal option all the time, because he's not getting a true combo off of that. The down one might jail me into that back two, but if I block the mix-up, I mean, then nothing really happened. So my down one's blocked, and he wants anything else. He might want to throw me, he might want to use a 4-3 mid, he might want to, you know, try and spend armor thinking I'll do any of these things. He has a bunch of options to counter my loads of options. Because what happens if I backdash after my block down one? So I have the right side Scorpion doing that. A backdash into stand 2-1, it would actually beat some of mine. Right here, I go for the 4-3-2 mid to try and get a mid combo launch. He's getting a full combo on me. I want a reversal throw off of his negative frames. Nope, that stand 2 after the backdash is comboing me. So those are two options where he wins by making that exact decision. I, on the other hand, though, could do back 3 right here, which ends up landing, and I'll get my full combo because he tried to do that. Backdash on block into that. But if I were to default into that, he could just backdash and block, and that move from me is punishable. So instead, I could just down 3 afterwards to be safe to catch that backdash. Issue with that is, I'm really not getting much from landing that down 3. I'm kind of just giving it to him for very little, which sucks. He could also jump, just like that, to make my back 3 whiff that I was doing earlier. But my counter to that, be patient. Anti-air. It's like every single thing that is decided has like 2 rock, paper, scissors interactions, and everything works against different things. Because look, I wait on this anti-air, that's me doing it early, so it doesn't happen. He actually punishes my anti-air with teleport. Because Scorpion can't really turn around in time, and if I try and wait like that, the jump kick and the teleport will land. Okay, but I'll try and up block really quick. No, up block punish with the throw, which would have worked against the jump kick teleport thing, but again, there's a counter, to a counter, to a counter, to a counter, and that is the hardest part about understanding high-level Mortal Kombat 1. There are lots of situations in the game where there are 10 different things each player can do, and 10 different ways all those options interact with one another. So again, it's just trying to understand all the possible outcomes and understanding how many places in the game have situations like these. So I would focus as an Elder God trying to learn all the times your character runs into spots like that and trying to understand how to best deal with those spots, if that makes sense. That's going to wrap up this video. Apologies if any parts were a little hard to understand. Again, there was a lot of things to cover here, and also sometimes I might just not say it right. That makes sense, so let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.